What is up, YouTube? It's RSMario here, bringing you another another Fire Emblem 2015 video. Alright, so yeah, I like Fire Emblem, and I had a feeling, I got an urge. It said do Fire Emblem videos, and I was like, okay, I gotta do Fire Emblem videos. So this week I'm doing 3 Fire Emblem videos. Just kind of like, I guess you could say finishing the analysis of the trailer or looking further into the trailer. I don't know what you really want to call it, but this is more Fire Emblem videos, giving you more tidbits into the story that I could glean from the trailer. If these are good, if these are popular, this could very well be a weekly series. Bi-weekly or whatever I feel like doing with it. But, yep, let's hop to it. Alright, so in this one, oh, by the way, there may be spoilers to Fire Emblem Awakening in these videos, because there's a lot of things I have to compare, a lot of characters to talk about that are similar to other characters. So if you have not played Fire Emblem Awakening, there may be some spoilers. So, alright, so first off in here we get to look at, I check out, one theory that I have is that there are multiple factions in this game. Now, we know for sure that there are 2 factions in the game. There is the Eastern faction and the Western faction. So, we have an Eastern themed faction, which is probably the protagonists, and a Western themed faction who are possibly the antagonists. But, there's some things in this trailer that blur the lines, a lot with this, with this game. So we're going to kind of go into those. Like, the last video I did was talking about the characters, and kind of some little tidbits about the characters. This time I'm talking about the story. So here we see, in the beginning scene, we see that there's we see that the Eastern and Western forces are fighting each other, and we see the knights here. The Western style knights, you can see they all look relatively evil as compared to other characters you see. Like, even in Fire Emblem Awakening, when you're battling other nations, they don't look specifically evil. Like, I'm currently in chapter 22, which is we're battling Valum. We're battling the nation of Valum as an empire over there, and the troops don't look evil. They look like normal troops. I mean, they do wear red armor, or red-ish armor, but they look like normal troops. They don't look like nefariously evil troops. Same thing with the other troops from Plagueia. They didn't look evil either. They just looked like opposing troops. But these guys look implicitly evil. They have these. I mean, those masks are pretty cool. It looks like a lion skull, mask, and a skull shield. Like, these dudes look badass and evil. And they are definitely the antagonists. But if you look in the next shot, which is from, the painting that we see later, we see that there's a knight who's probably the general of the Western forces, and we see a dude who's a Maidon or a sword master class who's probably a general from the Eastern forces. And we see here, he has no menacing looking gear. Like, he has pretty normal looking gear. His gear is actually a completely different color from the other guy's gear. Like, if you look at it, like, their gear is more like deep blue and black. He has more lighter colors in his gear. They're like, light blue, bluish green, and gold. So it's different, I mean, and not to mention, he has like hearts and diamonds and clubs. He has more of like a playing card type of theme going with his gear, as opposed to the other guys who are supposedly on the same team, who they were freaking skulls and death and lions and yeah, all completely different. Yeah, so that could mean that there are 2 Western factions in this game. Now, one theory I have here with this is that maybe, these guys start off as one faction and they split into 2 eventually. Maybe there's some nefarious plot. Maybe there's a cult on the inside of the Western faction, and they're kind of like full Western troops are represented by, the regular armor, or the playing card based armor. Next theory here we're going into this golem. Now, the big golden character. Now, I haven't played Fire Emblem before Awakening, and so from what I heard, Awakening was the first Fire Emblem game in a while that didn't have big monster bosses in them. And I heard this is actually a thing that actually is in previous Fire Emblem games, that there are monster bosses that you have to face. So this could be the return of that aspect in this Fire Emblem game. And of course, we see it, it's working for the Western side, and maybe this ties into the whole occult evil theme. Even though this character doesn't look evil, I mean, even though we know it is evil, it doesn't look evil, it just looks normal. The face is actually a reference to something called the Mouth of Truth. Now, the Mouth of Truth is it's an artifact in Rome. It's supposed to be a ancient lie detector. Basically, you stick your hand in the mouth, and if you're telling a lie when your hand's in that mouth, it's gonna basically chomp down and crush your hand. So that means the story could be built on lies. This goes very well into the theory that there's two factions, or there's something going on in the western part, that maybe there's somebody who's lying and manipulating the king and the entire Western nation for their own plans, possibly the cult that summoned this golem. Alright, so then we get to some more theories about some of the characters. Alright, so now you look at the character here, you look at Hinoka. Hinoka is a red-haired Pegasus Knight. We see she's wearing light pink armor. Now, her armor looks similar to the other character we see. It doesn't look similar exactly, but the coloring is very similar to the pink-haired, possibly Prince character that we see talking to Gans in this shot. Now, that could mean that they're on the same team. They could be part of the Western faction. Now this could bring up some different things in the game. Now, this could mean that you actually have a choice if you want to join one faction or another. So you can actually choose if you want to start off with the Western faction or the Eastern faction. Or this could be maybe there's a point where you play as the Western faction, and then all hell breaks loose with the cult and everything kind of falls apart, and you end up on the Eastern faction fighting against the Western faction. Because Gans, I mean, he looks like he's on your team, or that he's recruitable to your team, but he looks evil. Like, he does not look like a normal bald guy. He looks evil. But yeah, they do definitely look, have similar looking clothes. The only difference here is, the pink-haired Prince guy, has an Eastern style haircut with more of a Western style face. He could be, his one of his parents could have been from the East, the other one could have been from the West. And that could be, he could actually be the character that Felicia, the maid character, or the white mage character, is actually talking about as Kamui. So yeah, so this could be, this guy could be Kamui that Felicia's talking about in the early scene. Now, if that's the case, there's another theory here. Now, in most of the Fire Emblem games, at least in Awakening, I know that the main character, or the avatar character, usually begins the game waking up. In Fire Emblem Awakening, you begin the game waking up to Chrom and his sister looking down at you like, what are you doing laying around on the ground? So this game could easily begin with you waking up in the bed in the Western side, as this character. This guy could be Kamui, and Felicia could be somehow related to you, or she could just simply be working for you. And next we have here the Prince guy, Max. Alright, now we see this could be the Prince that, Gans is talking about to the pink-haired guy. He could be referring to Max. Now we see Max is wearing a crown. He does have like different gear from the other knights. His gear is a mixture between both the two potential factions of on the Western side. That his gear is red, black, and gold. You know, so he could very well be like a prince or a lord. You know, he's not like Frederick. At first I thought he was going to be like Frederick, like the big powerhouse knight character, which he is, because there's a shot of him one-hitting a big monster. But, you know, he could very well be like a prince character. My theory with him is he's going to be, him and the pink-haired character are going to be the two characters that basically defect, you know, from or he'll probably die. There's a very good chance that he could die, you know, and that could be why your character defects to the eastern side, you know, because the cult or Gans or whoever turns and basically has a coup in the middle of this war, or the coup could be what causes the war between the two factions. But if anything, I do believe this guy, if he survives, is going to be an awesome playable character. He could be the prince they're referring to, but I definitely think he might be, or the crown prince. So that's about it for this. I've delved into it. There's way more theories. Like just doing this video, I've got more questions that I'm definitely gonna look into. So there'll definitely be more Fire Emblem videos on the way. So the next Fire Emblem video I'm gonna be doing is video about the weapons and the classes we'll see in the game. So look out for that. Look out for my other videos. Like, comment, subscribe, and keep it real.